If you happen to know anyone who's looking for a job right now, or if you yourself are looking, you know that it's a little rough out there. Yes, the unemployment rate is relatively low, but the rate of hiring has been on a downward trend for a few years now. And the most recent jobs report, the one for August, showed way fewer new jobs than expected. And this was after President Trump was so unhappy with the previous month's numbers that he fired the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And the long-term unemployment rate, the number of people unemployed and looking for more than 6 months, is on the rise. And of those long-term unemployed people, a larger and larger share have college degrees. According to data from the University of Chicago, about a third of the long-term unemployed are college-educated, which is a sizable increase from a decade ago. This week, we're hearing from people who fall into that camp, specifically younger people who are early career and thought they did all the right things in order to secure good-paying office jobs. And these are people who don't always have networks built up, contacts who can help them get their first shot or their next shot when opportunities they thought they'd secured go away. Many of them, instead, are left to apply for job after job after job alone. And it's left them disillusioned and exhausted. Here are some of them on TikTok.
The job market is trash. Basura, it's been bad. I'm talking about applying to 20 jobs a day, reaching out to recruiters, doing this on LinkedIn, and hearing crickets. People are trying. People are not lazy.
In this economy, do not give people job search advice. I am in job search hell, and I am so sick of people giving me the dumbest advice ever. They'll be like, have you gone on jobsfordaddy, Quarkle.com? Have you tried temp to perm? You could be a temp. Do you know this temp agency? I know everything. I know every website. I know every app. I know every this and that, recruiter, blah, 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 blah. There are no jobs. And the jobs that are out there suck. They require a master's degree and pay like $22 an hour, no benefits. It's terrible. It's horrible. And I live in a big city and there's still just like no good jobs.
That's TikTok user Femcell1836. And before that, user whatever Sid wants. And the Gen Z job searching doldrums, they're also part of life for a recent Jeopardy champion.
Brendan Liao is with us from Vancouver. He's a recent graduate, and therefore I assume that's why you're also a stay-at-home son.
That is correct.
Professional stay-at-home son.
Yep.
Pretty good gig if you can get it.
It's a pretty good gig, but I'm worried I'm going to be called a loiterer at some point.
Brendan Liao is a 27-year-old from Vancouver, Canada, where unemployment just hit the highest level since 2016, if you don't include pandemic-era lows. He has 2 degrees, and he's a trivia whiz. And while he could get his chance on Jeopardy, he struggled finding a job. He didn't get a good offer after college and ultimately went back to school to get a master's. And then after finishing that, struggled to get work again and was back living at home. And he had to find a pithy way to introduce himself to viewers of Jeopardy.
I remember getting there and everyone obviously, was a real adult with a real job, like aerospace engineer, like, professor. And it's like, hi, I'm unemployed.
This is Death, Sex, and Money. The show from Slate about the things we think about a lot and need to talk about more. I'm Anna Sale.
Routine, adjective, used to describe an individual whose spirit is unyielding, unconstrained, one who navigates life on their own terms, effortlessly. They do not always show up on time, but when they arrive, you notice an individual confident in their contradictions. They know the rules but behave as if they do not exist. Routine, the new fragrance by Miu Miu, defined by you.
At Sierra, discover top workout gear at incredible prices, which might lead to another discovery. Your headphones haven't been connected this whole time. Awkward. Discover top brands at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
Brendan Liao has been trying to get on Jeopardy for years. When he finally got the call, he was living in Vancouver with his parents and younger sister, and he had not been able to land a job after grad school.
So you don't find out that you're going to be taping until a month before taping, about. And then there's a bunch of forms that you fill out, and of course, one of the forms is like a biographical form for to come up with stories for the show, and also they ask like what your occupation is. And so at the time, I was unemployed. I had just finished my master's, and I was also just wrapping up law school applications. So just kind of like, obviously I listed like recent graduate, and then decided to add some like joke ones in there to see if the producers wanted me to do that. And so yeah, Stay at Home Son was one of them. I think there were other ones that I pitched, like I think Layabout.
Layabout.
Yeah, but I figured that's probably not super great to call yourself lazy on television.
So as you were filling out these forms for Jeopardy, you had finished your master's. How old were you?
I'm on the older side. I'm 27 right now, so I finished it around last winter-ish.
So as a 27-year-old person, when you are asked to identify yourself by your occupation, like, was that something that was like, oh God, what am I going to say so I don't sound like I haven't gotten my life started? Did you have those feelings of like, ugh, I don't know what to write?
No, not at all. I had no qualms of, making fun of the fact that I'm unemployed. And I think that probably does reflect the attitude of people my age who don't feel that their identity is as tied to a career. Also because, it's an economic reality. It's not like I'm in the basement playing video games all day. I'm studying for the LSAT. I'm applying to law school. I'm looking for work.
And your earnings it was almost $60,000, $59,000.
Well, yeah, the 3 games I won was like 59, and then the 4th game, which I lost, I get like an extra $2,000 as a consolation for that game. So I just cleared 60.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You were on 4 episodes of Jeopardy and earned a year's salary.
Yeah. Like I basically worked a job this year. It was a day long. So it's like that's a pretty good dollars to hour ratio, right? Like it's $60,000 for literally, taping for a day. So not bad, not too shabby.
Truly.
Yeah.
And kind of describe for me, when did you finish undergrad and what year?
Okay. So this is probably going to tie into the reason I'm unemployed. I finished my undergrad 2020, spring 2020.
Oh.
And obviously, yes. And in chemistry and biology. So again, like a double whammy of like, this is work that you usually have to go into a physical space to do. So yeah, I graduated and no work. Realized I didn't like the subject enough to go back for a graduate degree or even find, menial lab work. So I pivoted to a master's in poli-sci.
Why political science?
So I grew up in the era where STEM, so science, technology, engineering, math subjects were really pushed on us. And it was like, oh, if you want to be employed, this is what you need to study. So that's sort of why I did sciences. That was a big motivator. And then so I figured, okay, well, you know what? Maybe let's not stick with sciences if I don't like it. And also there wasn't actually a whole lot of work in it. I think that was a bit of a misleading sort of, I wouldn't say promise, but like, I don't know what the right word is, but being told that your whole life, like basically throughout high school, like, oh, study the sciences. That's where all the money is. And then
and stability.
And then getting to that point, it's just like, oh, wait, I did the thing that people told me to do, and then I'm still not with a job. I'm not employed, and it doesn't seem like I will be. So I just decided, okay, well, let's change up the strategy. Let's do something I actually like. So I'm more of like the data side of political science, so like more quantitative work.
And even with those quantitative skills, you thought maybe I ought to go to law school? You think you're looking at law school?
Because I mean, I finished the master's and I'm still applying to jobs, and I'm not even applying to. There are very few jobs for, like social science, quantitative research like that. It's not a huge industry in Canada. So I've been applying to like random office work that's not even related to my degree in any way, and it's still like nothing, like crickets, which is
like no response.
like no response, like either rejections or just like no follow-ups at all. And I don't know what exactly is going on.
Well, can you tell me a little bit more about like getting those applications off? Is it like you're in some portal on an online platform, sending in
Yeah,
your
it's
information, writing your
exactly.
cover
Yes.
letter,
Yes.
and then nothing?
It's all online now. Yeah, and then nothing. And I'm like, I don't know if these companies are using, AI to just comb through resumes and picking out keywords, or if there's an actual human going through these resumes. But it just feels like very, very rough. And I imagine it's maybe the same for other people out there because they're doing the same thing.
It just makes me jump ahead to like the whole challenge with job applications is how do I make myself stand out? And then you
Right.
get in the Jeopardy studio and you're like, I will be a stay-at-home son and I will
Yeah.
stand out.
Right. Yeah. 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 I mean, I thought it would help. I went viral locally for sure, and I did the local media circuit. And on every interview, I did make a sales pitch. I was like, hey, if you need an employee that's mildly amusing and has a broad-based knowledge, I'm your guy. I'm looking for work still.
Did you get any calls?
No, that's the crazy thing. Yeah, I feel
Oh.
like the Jeopardy thing should make you stand out more, but it hasn't helped, which I think reflects the sort of difficulties in this labor market that it's just super competitive. Everyone's got a degree these days. And so you're forced to go to grad school or professional school to get another degree to make yourself more employable.
We hope.
We hope.
Coming up, we'll hear more about Brendan's Jeopardy winnings and his job search. And my Slate colleague Nitish Pawa, who covers business and technology, explains why the job market feels so competitive and cutthroat.
A lot of the tech firms and other white-collar places that really overhired during the pandemic realized that they'd gotten way too over their skis, and they realized they need to make some adjustments. So you saw layoffs in like the tens of thousands at a time, and which also meant that a lot of hiring that these places otherwise would have done was just being completely frozen.
This episode is brought to you by Saks Fifth Avenue. Here's what happens when you go to Saks.com and browse around a little bit. You very quickly get a sense of what is happening in fashion. It's basically like walking the streets of the most fashionable block in New York City without leaving my house. For instance, maybe you have been wondering what is happening with jeans right now and what is my jeans personality. Well, you can go to Saks.com, just go to the clothing vertical, scroll down to where it says jeans, click on that. And then there it is, all of these different jean silhouettes. The barrel silhouette, wide leg, high rise, straight leg jean, something called the half pipe ankle jean from Mother. There's Rag & Bone, Good American, Cynthia Rowley, Frame, designers and brands I know and ones that I'm glad I'm discovering. There is so much to explore at Saks.com based on your personal style and what you are looking for. So this fall, whether you're going to try out the latest fashion trends or looking to curate a closet that stands the test of time, Saks has you covered. And listen to this. They have in-store stylists there to guide and inspire you, helping you find pieces that fit every aspect of your lifestyle. Or if you prefer online shopping, Saks.com offers a curated selection tailored to your taste, from new arrivals by your favorite designers to stylish pieces for your everyday needs. If you want shopping to be fun and easy, then head to Saks Fifth Avenue for inspiring ways to elevate your personal style every day. Hey, it's Anna Sale, and I want to thank you for listening to Death, Sex, and Money, where I explore the big questions and hard choices that are often left out of polite conversation. Follow the show on Amazon Music for more future episodes, or just ask, Alexa, play the podcast Death, Sex, and Money on Amazon Music. This is Death, Sex, and Money from Slate. I'm Anna Sale. The thing about employment trends is there are the numbers, and then there's what you feel in your life, where you live, who your friends are, the vibes. And the vibes around me are unsteady. Journalists and podcast makers, people in higher ed and government, tech workers. There's job losses, and it feels like there aren't enough open positions to replace them. And I feel like the opportunities that help me and my peers get started in our careers, they're just not available for the people coming up behind us. But I'm aware the vibes around me don't always capture all that's going on. So it caught my eye when my Slate colleague Nitish Pawwa wrote a piece a few months back about the job market overall. The headline? Why are there no effing jobs? And it went on, in this economy, you can do everything right and still be unemployed, and not just if you're a recent grad.
I also sort of had, reservations about how much of this am I hearing just because, I'm in a very white collar centric, like social and professional group, say. But I mean, the answer is it really is affecting everybody, like no matter what field you're in, like whether you're in something more hands-on, whether you're working even in the medical profession, whether you work as, software engineer in digital media, or even if, your job just involves, say, working in delivery, retail, something front-facing in the food and service industry. And I think you're seeing that as the result of a lot of factors that have been kind of building up for a while, but have kind of exploded at this perfect moment.
What fundamentally has changed that is making this so different than what it felt like when I finished college, maybe what it felt like when you finished college about 10 years ago, right? What has structurally changed?
Yeah, there are a few different factors here. So first off, I mean, the COVID disruption is obviously still very much lingering. So in the years before COVID, like from the financial crisis onward, this was an economy that had been generally pretty accustomed to operating with near zero level interest rates. There's just like a ton of money flowing around. There are all sorts of companies and startups like getting off the ground and just hiring at like a insane clip.
I believe it was the low interest rates that enabled the podcast boom. I miss those days.
I think that's definitely part of it. And same with digital media too, when like so many websites, like BuzzFeed and like, other VC-backed news sites were really taking off around then. So, I mean, yeah, we're very much beneficiaries of that too. It was kind of, with government stimulus and with like low interest rates, it was almost like a free for all for a lot of people in white collar sectors, especially. But with COVID, you obviously had, the ensuing shutdowns and recessions. And once COVID started to ease up, and once, we started seeing the economy try to adjust back to what it was beforehand, it was obviously pretty rickety, pretty rough. We had some significant rises in inflation there. You had all these geopolitical shocks as well. And I think the biggest factor here was we were not only raising interest rates finally from the Federal Reserve, but we were keeping them high for long periods of time. And that put the brakes on a lot of the kind of free-flowing spending that really characterized the post-Great Recession era. Spending and hiring going up, up, up. It's much more of a cautious play.
Yeah. I mean, it also seems to me like it's easy if you currently have a job that that has not gone away, and you've got money invested in the market through your retirement, you could think things are going along just fine. So it seems like it's sort of, if you're looking for a job, you're feeling the aftershocks of COVID and interest rates and inflation in ways that those of us who've been able to hold on to jobs just haven't.
Yeah. I think what you also saw there was if you were lucky enough to hold a job, you saw that, if you wanted to leave that job, there are fewer opportunities afforded to you for many reasons. For one, there's no longer that working location flexibility. Like a lot of people moved out of the cities and now they found that these firms that are hiring are like demanding that, you go back to Austin, you go back to New York City, you go back to Chicago and work out of like the downtown districts for however many days a week. You also had just, again, like there's not as much spending. There are not as many companies that are like being formed. There's not many startups like taking off, much less at like a breakneck pace. And so you're just not getting those like entry level jobs as much as you might have seen before.
So we heard from the TikTokers who were like, please stop telling me how to apply for jobs. Please stop telling me how to network. Please stop telling me how to pick up paid work. I wonder if you could give advice to the parents out there or the mid-career people out there who want to be helpful, but maybe just don't get what it's like for people who are looking for laptop jobs these days. Like, what advice do you have to the advice givers to help them understand that their worldview might be a little dated?
Yeah. I think the one big thing I would tell them is that there's just not an eager pipeline of people waiting to snap someone up. And there is also just not like even a human pipeline there. A lot of the hiring process has also been automated fully. It is absolutely not like anything anyone I know, even on the older end, has seen in their lifetimes.
Parents just don't understand. But Brendan Liao says for him, his parents have never really had a sense of the kinds of job opportunities he's after.
My parents were immigrants. They didn't go to college, so they're completely removed from the labor pool that I would be trying to get into. Like my mom processes packages at a shipping company and it's like manual labor. My dad does some sort of paper pushing at a mortgage company. So again, it's just like they didn't go to college and they have no experience of like what it's like to go to grad school or even go to university, really. And so I never got that advice, and I didn't feel like I could, even if I asked them, they wouldn't really understand how the market works and like what kind of things you need to do to make yourself more employable. So in that sense, it's been like a little extra challenging.
Have you felt pressure from them to figure it out?
Thankfully, they've been pretty supportive. I don't think they are as traditional. I mean, the whole Chinese parents or Asian parents in general being, pushing doctor, lawyer, engineer on their kids. So they haven't been quite like tiger parents level, but there is sort of like okay, you should make sure you at least work a job that's pays the bills, right? Like that's the bare minimum, like it pays the bills. It doesn't matter what it is, just, be able to feed yourself and house yourself. I think that's sort of their attitude towards finding a job.
And do you feel like your younger sister is looking at you to sort of figure out how to sort through all this?
If she is, I can't tell at all. We have very different interests, so I have no idea if she might be looking at me and being like, "Oh, that's a cautionary tale. I'm going to do everything he didn't do because he's not doing so hot right now in terms of a professional career."
Brendan's sister is not wrong. The way Brendan's having to look for jobs is pretty unappealing. As Nitish told me, employers are using more and more automation to make hiring more efficient, which also dehumanizes the whole process. I want to ask you about that idea that there are robot gatekeepers, like for a lot of these job listings. That part feels so dystopian and difficult that you're not writing a cover letter to a person, you're writing a cover letter to an algorithm, or you're seeing a job listing and it's not clear if there's actually a job at the other side of it. Maybe it's just a posting that has hung up there and is never actually going to get filled.
Yeah, it's just out there. It's clearly not meant to be filled, but it's just there to seem like this is a company that has opportunities and that you should look out for. And it's pretty craven stuff. It's definitely among the more like shocking things I've seen. And you've seen that in tandem with a rise in so many other automated tools that are just controlling all aspects of this process, whether it's like resume screeners, even doing interviews. Like sometimes it'll be just like this hazy, like a animatronic interviewer or a chatter, like talking to you for like the first round. Or you even have in some cases, like you may find that you worked at a big Silicon Valley firm and they didn't like you for some reason, and now you're on like this blacklist basically from a lot of other related companies. Like there is all sorts of computerization here that is very hard to break through because so much of it, again, is just such a black box. And I think it's a stupid idea, both for the companies and for everyone else, like, at the receiving end of them. Like, it's not a way to establish yourself as a trustworthy company. It's not a good way to build up your reputation as a company that should want, very bright-minded people applying. Just means that you want to lazily move away from the inconvenient process of human relations as much as possible. And that sucks. I mean, that just makes your company a less human company too. And there's some tech people who want that, and Godspeed to them, but I don't think that that's what a lot of other firms want. I know they're trying to cut costs and stay on top of new technology or whatever, but it's probably still on net better to be a company that knows how to interact with humans than one that does not.
This podcast is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Because Progressive offers discounts for paying in full, owning a home, and more. Plus, you can count on their great customer service to help you when you need it, so your dollar goes a long way. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save on car insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations. Everyone can use a little help to shape the direction of their lives, from fitness routines to mental resilience or navigating personal goals or tackling burnout. That's what the Life Kit podcast from NPR is here to do. Life Kit offers real stories, relevant insights, and clear takeaways to help you meet large and small decision-making moments with confidence and clarity. They have trusted voices and expert advice that can help you take the next step, however big or small. Listen to Life Kit to hear thoughtful conversations that unpack the emotional and practical side of personal wellness, along with actionable guidance you can actually use with no fluff and no judgment. Get help tackling common issues like relationships, finances, parenting, or your career, and then walk away with a game plan you can implement right away. Life Kit is not just another podcast about self-improvement. It's about understanding how to live a little better starting now. Listen now to the Life Kit podcast from NPR.
This podcast is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You chose to hit play on this podcast today? Smart choice. Progressive loves to help people make smart choices, and that's why they offer a tool called Auto Quote Explorer that allows you to compare your Progressive car insurance quote with rates from other companies, so you can save time on the research and can enjoy savings when you choose the best rate for you. Give it a try after this episode at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states and situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Another part of the tricky job market is the feeling that you might lose the job you have. Layoffs have been on the rise this year across multiple sectors. As Nitish mentioned, companies have been cutting expenses post-pandemic as interest rates, inflation, and now tariffs are raising some costs. Sudden changes in government spending and federal priorities have added to the uncertainty in the U.S. And you see the whole mix of newly unemployed young people in the newsletter Laid Off. It's written by 35-year-old Melanie Aaron Krantz, who has also been laid off.
I think anyone who is not running their own business and believes that they definitively have stable employment is that's probably not the case.
I'm definitely here for layoff stories. When I was told by bosses in 2023 that I was being laid off, it felt so sudden, so very personal and isolating. I had a lot of notice before my last day, time to digest it and to figure out what I might do next, so our show had a pretty quick landing at Slate. This, I learned from Melanie, is not really common practice in today's layoff etiquette.
I was working at a fintech company. I was a newsletter editor. I was on the marketing team. And there was a huge wave of layoffs where a large majority of the company was let go. And it was due to funding reasons. We didn't raise funding. And so we didn't have runway. So they cut, a certain amount of people. It was a Zoom call. I was working from home. I got, a same-day invite, which seems to be pretty common among a lot of people that I talk to. I hopped on. Everyone that was on that call was let go. My last day was that day. I lost access to everything that day. It was very, very devastating and deflating and shocking. And I don't know if I ever really processed it because I immediately went into the mode of now, what do I do?
And what was motivating that? Was it fear of not having enough money for rent? Was it fear of losing purpose, identity? What was the mix of things that was I have to just get this sorted?
Yeah, immediately it was paying the bills. I only got a couple weeks of severance, so it covered maybe 1 month of rent, utilities, and health insurance, maybe. And I didn't have, a substantial emergency savings fund to prepare myself for this, which now is something I think about where I wasn't thinking about before, just where I was in my career and the amount of money that I had been making historically. I wasn't really at a place where I could do that comfortably. And so definitely loss of income was immediate. But then over the many months where I was looking for a job, it became more identity focused where, as I'm getting rejected, as I don't have this routine, I started to question whether I was a skilled person, whether I actually was a creative person, whether I was an attractive candidate, what was wrong with me, why am I not getting interviews, why am I not getting hired, who am I without my job, all the questions that a lot of people I think feel in the immediate aftermath, especially if it's your first layoff.
You just said all those questions really quickly, but they're all really hard questions to sit with, what are my skills? Do people want to hire me? Who am I without this? That's when you were going through those questions, were you laying prone on the couch? Were you typing and kind of was that a haunting sort of set of questions that you would hear? When would you go through those sets of questions?
They were just constantly plaguing my mind throughout, any downtime that I had, which admittedly wasn't that much because I was constantly applying for jobs and trying to do freelance work to kind of piece a paycheck together. But anytime I had a moment of downtime or anytime I got an automated rejection email or was ghosted after an interview that I thought really well, those were moments that continued to kind of chip away at my self-esteem and sense of purpose. And I questioned, if I was on the right path, if this was something that, should I continue pursuing this industry? Is it industry related? But yeah, definitely, there were moments laying in bed where I'm sure I had these thoughts running through my mind, but it could also just kind of hit me, in the middle, I'm grocery shopping and I update my inbox on my phone to check and I get an automated rejection email and I'm suddenly hit with this wave of those feelings all over again. So was not linear for sure. It was definitely sporadic in how it
Yeah.
affected me.
So as you're thinking, I think other people might want to tell me about their laid off experience. Like, how did you go about figuring out who you wanted to cover? Because did you make the explicit choice at the get-go that you wanted to talk with people who are around your age and around your career point in their careers?
I did not have any image of like the type of person or demographic that I was going to talk to, mostly because I wasn't sure putting it out there who would be receptive to this. It is a very vulnerable experience to talk about. I wasn't seeing a lot of places where people were going really deep on their feelings and reactions to their layoff and what was going on in their lives at the time. So there wasn't I really had no idea. And so I put out a survey when I announced the launch of it to kind of do a trend report to understand the space so that I could really go into these interviews with a bit more knowledge, and immediately got hundreds of responses to that survey. And so that was the beginning of this Rolodex of people that I could talk to.
Were there parallels across industries that you didn't necessarily expect? Like when you're talking to somebody who works in a field that you've had no personal exposure to, and then you hear, oh, that's what my layoff was like too. Like, were there things that you uncovered as you talked to more people?
I would say almost everyone said that their relationship to work changed after their layoff. And that was the most consistent finding across all interviews and trend reports.
In what way? Like, what do people say? I got to do this differently. What are they saying?
I think it's more that a lot of people before being laid off, work definitely was a heavy part of their identity and routine, and also might have been the only way that they viewed making a living and their only source of income. And so when you lose a job and you lose that stability, a lot of people realize that I can't completely depend on this one thing to always be there, to pay the bills or to fulfill me, or maybe it shouldn't be the thing that's fulfilling me. And so definitely a lot of people who have this like entrepreneurial spirit now, they might have side hustles, they might freelance on the side, they might want to pivot industries, they might want to run their own business, or they just kind of go in with, more clear-eyed into their next job, realizing that they could be laid off again because it's not a personal failure. And I think once you understand that, it reduces the shame, but it also does still create that sense of fear going into the next job, because you can be a star employee and still not evade this experience that is definitely pervasive across all industries.
Yeah, I thought of shame, and one of the ways I thought of that was when I was looking at the new hat merch that you have available through your newsletter. You announced it in a post that was titled "Hottest Recession Core Hat of the Summer" just dropped.
Yeah,
and it's like a ball cap with this like neon yellowish green logo that says "Laid Off." And I was like, oh, that looks so cool. I want that hat. And then I was like, Anna, will you wear that hat that says "laid off"? Like, will you wear that around town to the grocery store? I'm not sure you will. Like, what? And why won't you wear that? Are you afraid people will think you're a failure? Will you think that are you being glib about what a layoff could mean? So I went through this whole thing about like, I don't think I'm ready to wear a laid off hat. And how did you think about that when you were like, I know, I'm not going to make a mug. I'm going to make a hat so people will be moving through public space with this thing about the experience of being laid off?
Yeah, that was the intention. I wanted people to wear it and feel almost like a reclamation of their agency and cool. I wanted them to be cool. I wanted it to feel like a community. And so I didn't want it to be shame around it. And so, I just thought a hat would be cute. When I first was, considering making a hat, I posted a thing in the chat asking readers, if I made a laid off hat, where would you wear it and where would you wear it to? And I was surprised that people immediately responded, heck yes, I want this hat. I'm wearing it to the coffee shop. I'm wearing it in my next interview. I'm wearing it to a party. I'm wearing it this summer. It's going to be my good luck charm. And they were very excited about it. And I think a part of that is because they do feel a part of this community and it makes them feel connected to a larger experience versus something that can feel very isolating and individual because again, it's not a personal failure and you're part of this cool community. It's just a hat, you know?
I love the laid-off hat and the confidence behind it. It reminds me of Brendan Liao, stay-at-home son, who not only displayed his unemployment status proudly on television, but he also used Jeopardy as a way to stay busy and sharp and to get involved in a community. Training for Jeopardy sort of became his job.
So the month before, I definitely went to high gear, like just reviewing, U.S. presidents, Shakespeare, the classic like meat and potatoes of Jeopardy, like sitting on a stationary bike and watching an episode just to like get my heart rate up because I assumed I would be, nervous on the stage, and I was.
Oh, so that's not your like exercise routine. This was Jeopardy training to bring in the stationary bike.
2 in 1.
Okay.
Like being in shape helps you with your recall and all that. It makes your brain work better. But yeah, also to like simulate like, okay, you're probably going to be like your heart's going to be racing. Can you recall things under pressure? So there was a bit of that as well. Yeah.
How did you train for the buzzer?
Oh, the buzzer. Yeah, that's a good question. So not just watched episodes while I was riding a bike, but I also stood in my living room, like wearing a suit, and I had like a toilet paper roll for a while. That I was
So you would
pressing.
just hold?
Yeah, I was hold and press, like a spring action like roll.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
The thing that goes inside the roll.
Yes.
So it like goes down when you press it.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I was using that for a bit. But yeah, that was like buzzer practice, I guess.
That's amazing. I mean, thinking about how you prepared, can you imagine how people who have jobs prepare for Jeopardy?
Right. So yeah, again, I was really fortunate that I had nothing going on, so I had the time to. So I can't imagine people who have, kids and like an actual job. Yeah.
Can you describe for me, like when you weren't preparing for Jeopardy, when you have had a day where you wake up and you are not needed anywhere outside the home and you're trying to figure out what's the next step you're going to take to get you closer to doing work outside the home, like how do you feel those days?
I'm trying to apply to a job, at least like a couple jobs every single day if possible, but it does get like sort of taxing at some point. So, the rest of the day is just trying to, get out of the house, make sure I see sunlight that day instead of just like sitting in a room on a screen applying to work, because that can get pretty depressing, especially if you're not hearing back. And so it's just like a lot of reading, I guess, and watching movies, honestly. It almost feels like applying to work is my job now, but I'm not getting paid for it.
Then, an update. As we were putting this episode together, Brendan let us know he had some news. Hi, Brendan.
Hello, Anna.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Tell me what has changed since we last talked.
Well, I found a job, and then
Yay!
Thank you. 3 days into the new job, I got off the wait list for law school. So
when it rains, it pours, Brendan.
When it rains, it pours. Exactly.
Okay, so that's amazing. 2 different doors opening. What's going to happen? What are you going to do?
Oh, so I accepted the law school offer. This was like 6 days before classes started.
Oh my gosh.
And they gave me 2 hours to decide. So it was like a bit of a stressful decision making period, but I opted to go for law school rather working the job.
Well, you will not keep the job?
So the job was specifically in MD admissions at the university that I now attend, which is very ironic.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. It was only like a 3-month contract. So I have no idea if there was going to be any potential for a long-term position out of that at all.
And what is it going to mean for you, after a long period of unemployment? What is it going to mean financially for you to become a full-time student? How are you going to do it?
I will be taking out loans. I mean, good timing. Thankfully, I won those like 3 episodes of Jeopardy, so that'll make a good dent into the debt I'm taking on. But yeah, I'm prepared to take on a little bit of debt. But it's nice knowing that there's a more clear career path that's waiting for me at the end of law school versus, other degrees that you might get.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if you feel like, do you feel like you want to make sure you create relationships where like mentor relationships and close collaborative relationships with peers? So when the time comes, when you do need work, there's actual people to interact with rather than just all of those portals.
Yeah, I mean, there definitely is more of a culture of, you should get to know your peers and upper year students and faculty, just because it's a very social profession, it seems like.
Mm-hmm.
So there is that sort of element of like, yeah, you should be networking. But I guess I'm like a bit of a romantic, and I would prefer to just, get to know people for the sake of getting to know people, to connect with another human being as a human being and not see them as like a potential, oh, this is my way into like a job or a future collaboration or anything like that.
Uh-huh. You don't want to feel like a mercenary. You want to feel
No,
like
I don't want
a
to feel like
person
it's like
finding friends.
transactional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's true. And also, when you find your people, you're finding people who you want to work alongside.
Exactly, yeah.
Have you joined any extracurriculars? Is there like a trivia team?
There is. I met the UBC Quiz Bowl team over the summer, and they were all like, "We hope you get off the wait list so you can join the team." And then, of course,
crossed.
and I got off the wait list. Now I'm joining the team. I'm also trying like to not get typecast as the Jeopardy guy. I'm pretty Googleable these days, so going into law school, like a lot of my classmates already sort of knew who I was, which is really strange.
Did they know you as Jeopardy champion Brendan or stay-at-home son
like
Brendan?
I think like second Jeopardy champion, and then of course they saw the stay-at-home son stuff. But I think, I don't know, second day of orientation, I was eating lunch in the courtyard and someone just yells out Jeopardy, and I'm like, oh, okay. I have a personality outside of it, but yeah, it's nice to have a little bit of notoriety going in.
I'm curious about fashion. You have your suit that you trained for Jeopardy, right?
Yes.
Is that your only suit?
Well, okay. The suit situation is as follows. I wore suits on the show that I had been wearing since like high school. And they're starting to not, I mean, even when I went on the show, they were starting to not really fit that well because I've put on some weight since high school. So I think I do need to go suit shopping soon because you have to wear a suit at these, lawyer events usually. So yeah, I got to get a new suit.
That's Brendan Liao, who recently moved to a new apartment with roommates, and after 8 months of unemployment, feels a little more grounded again. And he says if he's ever back on Jeopardy, he hopes he'll be introduced as law student and away from home son. We're also happy to report that Melanie Aaronkrantz, who writes the Laid Off newsletter, is also doing well. She recently got a brand new job, and we wish her the best. If you want to check out Nitish Pawwa's piece about finding a job these days, there's a link to it in our show notes. And over on the Slate podcast, What Next TBD, host Lizzie O'Leary recently looked more in depth at how AI is transforming the job market, especially for people earlier in their careers. Check out that episode. It's called Is AI Taking Your Job? And there's a link to it in our show notes. This episode was produced by Cameron Drews. The rest of the Death, Sex, and Money show team includes Andrew Dunn and Zoe Ajoulay. Daisy Rosario is our senior supervising producer. Mia Lobel is executive producer of Slate Podcast, and Hillary Fry is Slate's editor-in-chief. You can support the production of our show, our little micro job market, by joining our membership program, Slate Plus. You get bonus episodes of our show and other Slate shows like Decoder Ring and How To, and you can listen to Slate's full podcast catalog without ads. Subscribe directly from the Death, Sex, and Money show page on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, or visit slate.com/DSM Plus to sign up and get access wherever you listen. Our theme music is by the Reverend John DeLure and Steve Lewis. And if you are new to our show, welcome. We're glad you're here. Find us and follow us on Instagram at DeathSexMoney. I write a weekly newsletter. You can get it at annasale.substack.com. And you can reach us anytime with voice memos, pep talks, questions, or critiques at our email address, deathsexmoney@slate.com. We love hearing from you. And for you Jeopardy fans out there, keep an eye out for Brandon Liao. He hopes to be back on the show for a tournament at some point. And there's even a chance he could be up against another friend of this show, reigning celebrity Jeopardy champ, W. Kamau Bell. Brendan, I also want to tell you, did we talk about W. Kamau Bell when we talked before?
No, I don't think so, but I know he won the Celebrity
Jeopardy.
Yeah.
He lives where I live, and I told him about you, and I was like, you've got to connect with stay-at-home son. And he's like in that weird, it seems like once you win on Jeopardy, they keep wanting to have you back in different ways. Like
because I think he'll be playing in the Tournament of Champions.
Yeah. With civilians? With non-celebrities?
With the civilians. I think they made that change. I might get to play against him depending on which tournament I get slugged into.
Amazing. Kamau is a good friend. He's been on the show a number of times. And also, I will root for you if you're against him.
Thank you.
Kamau's not trying to get through law school.
Yeah, he's already famous. He doesn't need to win on Jeopardy.
I'm Anna Sale, and this is Death, Sex, and Money from Slate. This episode is brought to you by Saks Fifth Avenue. Here's what happens when you go to Saks.com and browse around a little bit. You very quickly get a sense of what is happening in fashion. It's basically like walking the streets of the most fashionable block in New York City without leaving my house. For instance, maybe you have been wondering what is happening with jeans right now and what is my jeans personality. Well, you can go to Saks.com, just go to the clothing vertical, scroll down to where it says jeans, click on that, and then there it is, all of these different jean silhouettes. The barrel silhouette, wide leg, high-rise, straight leg jean, something called the half-pipe ankle jean from Mother. There's Rag & Bone, Good American, Cynthia Rowley, Frame, designers and brands I know, and ones that I'm glad I'm discovering. There is so much to explore at Saks.com based on your personal style and what you are looking for. So this fall, whether you're going to try out the latest fashion trends or looking to curate a closet that stands the test of time, Saks has you covered. And listen to this. They have in-store stylists there to guide and inspire you, helping you find pieces that fit every aspect of your lifestyle. Or if you prefer online shopping, Saks.com offers a curated selection tailored to your taste, from new arrivals by your favorite designers to stylish pieces for your everyday needs. If you want shopping to be fun and easy, then head to Saks Fifth Avenue for inspiring ways to elevate your personal style every day.